Good morning friends, welcome to economic classes. In the previous video, we were discussing about the different types of goods. We have discussed very clearly about normal goods and inferior goods and complementary goods and substituted goods. Today's class we are going to discuss about the movement of the demand curve and the shipment of the demand curve. Friends, either it may be movement or it may be shipment. The factors which are influencing on demand that are very important here. The factors or the determinants which are influencing on the demand curve, that we know that price of the related product, taste and preference, and income. See, these are the main important determinants of the demand which influence that the demand curve either to move or to shift. So let us discuss the first one, that is demand curve, that how it moves upside and downside. Friends, out of these four determinants, we are going to take only the price which influence on the movement of the demand curve. Then what about remaining factors here? What about the remaining determinants? The price of the related product, taste and preference, and income of the consumer, we are going to assume constant. As I already told you, economics which is based on some of the assumptions here, and in this case we are assuming that price of the related product, taste and preference, and income of the consumers are assumed as constant, and we are just seeing that only there is a change in the price. By the change in the price, how it moves in the demand curve, that is how we are going to see here. So let us understand the movement of demand curve with the help of diagram now. OY axis, OX axis. Well, so on OX axis I am going to take quantity demand, on the OY axis it is price. Well, see, as I already told to you, the movement of the demand curve is mainly influenced by the price itself. Remaining determinants are going to assumed as constant. So for that reason, how the price changes and how it makes the demand curve to move either upside or downside, and that is what we have to look into here. So this is how I am going to draw. This is the demand curve. Assume that there is one basic price line which is very middle to this. This is the basic price line. Okay. Well, after this, just imagine if there is increase in the price, what happens now? And this is what increase in the price. And the same time, if the price is going to decrease, how it is going to happen? If the decrease in the price. I'm going to make a points here, and if it is A, and this is B, and this is C. So now you see, this is going to be P0, which means basic price level. We are going to assume one price as a basic, and the basic price level, the quantity will be basic, and that is what basic quantity. As the price is something, during that time what may be the quantity, and that is how we are going to assume Q0. And if the price increases to P1, obviously what happens here, quantity decreases to Q1, and if the price decreases to P2, the quantity increases to Q2. Well, here we are applying the law of demand. What the law of demand tells us, as the price increases, demand decreases, and if the price decreases, demand increases, right? So that is what we have to apply in this diagram and to understand the movement of the demand curve. And as I already told to you, at point A, this is basic, which means price is assumed as same, quantity is assumed as constant. For example, price is going to be assumed as 5 rupees, and the quantity that we are going to purchase 5 kgs. This is an example we are going to take into consideration here. So as the price is 5 rupees, we are going to purchase 5 kilos of some quantity. And you know, as the price increases to P0 to P1, that is how you look at this one. P0 to P1, take for example at for rupees 10. And in the same way, as it increases to P0 to P1, the quantity demand decreases from Q0 to Q1. So say for example 2 kgs. If the price decreases from P0 to P2, that is for rupees 2, then quantity increases to 10 kgs. Okay, so this is how we are applying the law of demand into this diagram now. So let us come to this now. When the demand curve moves upward, when the demand curve moves upward, when it moves upside. So this is what the basic, as I mentioned, and this is how it shows upward movement. And this is what? and this is the upward movement. Well, from A to downside what it is moving, and this is how from the A, and this is downward movement. Downward movement. Clear? From A to which moving upside, which is called upward movement, and from A to downward which is moving, it is downward movement. And come to the first one, upward movement. When actually demand curve moves upside, demand curve moves upside. Look at it in the diagram. As the price increases towards to P0 to P1, that time quantity decreases from Q0 to Q2. See, earlier we were here, both this is the intersection point here. As the price decreased to P1, that is what, sorry, as the price increased to P1, see, as the price increases, quantity demand decreases. Decrease in the quantity demand makes the demand curve, as we were here, to move at point B. See, as increase in the price, decrease in the quantity, which makes the demand curve to move upward. Well, in the same way, coming to the downward movement. So downward movement, how the demand curve moves downward? Look at this now. So this is the basic again. As the price decreases from P0 to P2, P0 to P2, then what about the quantity here? Quantity increases Q0 to Q2. So quantity, it is decreasing, whereas quantity Q0 to Q2, which is increasing. Well, so as by the decrease in the price and increase in the quantity, that makes the demand curve move downward. So don't get confusion here. In case of upward, price increases from P0 to P1. So this is increase in the price, that makes the quantity from Q0 to Q1 to decrease. Increase in the price, decrease in the quantity, that makes demand curve move to upside. Decrease in the price, increase in the quantity, that makes the demand curve move downward. The upward movement, which indicates that there is a movement of the demand curve towards the OY axis, whereas downward movement, which indicates there is a movement of demand curve towards OX axis. Don't get confusion. If it is moving downside, means it's not mean that it is increase, it's not mean that there is a decrease in the demand. No. So there is an increase in the demand due to that reason, which is moving towards to OX axis and which is moving very far to O point. In the same way as upside movement, when the demand curve moves upside, which means the demand curve, the price is increasing more and more here. Okay. So this is how movement of the demand curve. Well, upward movement and downward movement. In the same way, if we go for the next one, that is shiftment of the demand curve. Second one into this, that is shiftment or shift in the demand curve. Shift in the demand curve. Well, in the movement we have seen that only the price influences on the movement and remaining all determinants as assumed as constant. In the same way, here in case of shiftment of the demand curve, price is going to assumed as constant. This will be constant. This is going to assumed as constant, and price of the related product, income of the consumer, and taste and preference are going to change here. Movement, change in the price. Shipment, change in the price of the related product, income of the consumer, and taste and preference of the consumer. So let us see that how there is a shift in the demand curve with the help of diagram. Again, OY axis, OX axis. Okay, OY, OX. I'll take same quantity demand, and here not of price but price of the related product, income of the consumer, and taste and preference. Well, so here how the shipment occurs in the demand curve. Shipment maybe occurs in two ways again. One is right side shipment, right side, and the second one left side shipment. Right side and left side. So let us take the first one now. When actually the demand curve shift right side. Friends, demand curve shifts right side only when the consumer purchase more of the commodities. So let us take one basic demand curve here so that it will be so understanding to us. And this is what I just take D naught, D naught. Okay, so this is the basic demand curve. As we were just saying that when does the demand curve moves right side? So demand curve moves right side only when there is increase in the price of the related product, increase in the price of related product, increase in the income, okay, and taste and preference are favorable. Taste and preference are favorable. Increase in the price of the related product, increase in the income, and taste and preference are favorable. During that time, demand curve shift right side. If you stand like this, right side to you is that side. So demand curve shifts right side, and this is how I show the arrow mark, and this becomes DD2 or DD1. Well, so now you see from the basic and it shift to the right side due to the reason increase in the price of the related product, increase in the income of a consumer, and taste and preference are become positive here. Okay, so this is how we are going to say right side shipment. So why actually it is going to be when price of the related product increases, demand for alternative product increases, and due to that it shifts to the right side. And when income of the consumer increases, his purchasing power increases, and that makes the consumer demand to shift right side. And when taste and preference are favorable, consumer purchases more of that commodity, and that makes the demand curve shift right side. More or less, when demand increases, during that time the demand curve shift right side. The same time and the same way the left side shipment of the demand curve here. So left side in the sense which comes left side to your side. If you stand like this, and this is the left side, and that is how we are going to show here, left side, and that I am going to write as DD2. Well, so now you see this is the basic, and it is coming towards to the left side. Means what it means, price of the related product is decreasing, income of the consumer is also decreasing, and the same time taste and preference also unfavorable. Taste and preference are also unfavorable. So due to this reason the demand curve shift left side. What is that? If the price of the related product decreases, the demand for alternative product also decreases. Why? Because price of the related product decreases, the demand for other commodity increases. So as it increases, during that time what is going to happen here? See, price of the commodity is going to decrease here. Price of the commodity in the sense alternative product. If the alternative product decreases, then demand for the same commodity increases, and demand for alternative product also decreases. Okay, then income of the consumer decreases, his purchasing power decreases, and then he has to purchase less. In the same way, as the taste and preference is unfavorable, if it is unfavorable, he purchases less because his interest towards to that is less. So he purchases less. In all these three cases, the consumer is going to purchase less, which means the demand curve is going to shift left side. Well, so this is how we are going to see from DD0 to it shift towards to the left side, that is to DD2. So that is how it shifts here, DD0 to DD2. So this is how decrease in the demand, that makes demand curve to shift left side. In case of right side shipment, as the DD0 to DD1, the demand curve shift right side, and that is from DD0 to DD1, and that is the mean that we are going to say increase in the demand. Well, so here in this shipment we have to understand that if increase in the demand, which makes the demand curve to shift right side, and decrease in the demand makes the demand curve to shift left side. So like this, the demand curve moves either right upside or downside, and it shift right side and left side. Okay, so this is how the movement and shipment of the demand curve with the influencing factors, that is price of the related product, taste and preference, and income of the consumer. Well, so on these two, many of the questions again raised in so many of competitive exams, and that is how they may say that if the demand curve shift right side, what it means? It means demand is increasing. If the demand curve shift left side, it means the demand is decreasing. And if the demand curve which is moving towards upside, which means decrease in the demand and increase in the price. If the demand curve which is moving downside, which means increase in the demand and decrease in the price. Like that, so many of questions are going to ask in this on this particular topic, and especially on price of the related product and income. So they may ask different questions here. They may ask you for the right side shipment of the consumer demand curve, that that is what it influences, that increase in the price of the product. What it indicates? Increase in the related product, which means that the demand curve shift right side, which indicates consumer buying more of the goods. Like that, so many different questions may be raised or may be asked on this particular topic, and that is very important for the purpose of competitive exams. Okay, so further topics we'll discuss in the next class. Until, just update with these topics and be ready for the next topic, and until we see, thank you so much.